Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopichanna Vallabha Giri Varadari Gopichanna Vallabha Giri Varadari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Ram Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Acharya Ashtotra Shatashish Madhus Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Acharya Ashtotra Shatashish Madhus Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 29, talks between Narada and King Prachini Barhi. And we're on text 80. So if everybody could please repeat after me. Maitreya Uvacha Bhagavata Mukyo Bhagavan Narado Hamsayor Gatim Pradarshya I Umum Amantra Siddha Lokam Tato Gamat Maitreya Vacha Bhagavata Mukyo Bhagavan Nardo Hamsayor Gatim Pradarshya Hyamum Amantrya Siddhalokam Tatogamat Maitre Vacha Bhagavata Mukha Bhagavan Nardo Hamsayogatim Pradarshya Hyamum Amantrya Siddhalokam Tatogamat Maitre Vacha Bhagavata Mukha Bhagavan Nardo Hamsayorgatim Pradarshya Hyamum Amantrya Siddhalokam Tatogamat
Maitre Vacha Bhagavata Mukha Bhagavan Narado Hamsayorgatim Pradarshya Hyamum Amantrya Siddhalokam Tatogamat
Maitre Uvacha Bhagavata Mukha Bhagavan Narado Hamsayorgatim Pradarshya Hyamum Amantrya Siddhalokam Tatogamat Maitre Uvacha Bhagavata Mukha Bhagavan Narado Hamsayorgatim Pradarshya Hyamum Amantrya Siddhalokam Tatogamat
Okay.
Maitre Uvacha Bhagavata Mukha Bhagavan Narado Hamsayorgatim Pradarshya Hyamum Amantrya Siddhalokam Tatogamat
Okay, word by word. Maitreya Vacha. Maitreya said. Bhagavata, of the devotees. Mukhya, the chief. Bhagavan, the most powerful. Naradaha, Narada Muni. Hamsayoho, of the living entity and the Lord. Gatim, constitutional position. Pradarshya, having shown. He, certainly. Amum, him, the king. Amantrya, have after inviting. Siddhalokam, to Siddhaloka. Tataha, thereafter. Agamat, departed. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Prabhupada. The great sage Maitreya continued, the supreme devotee, the great saint Narada, thus explained to King Prachinibarhi the constitutional position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity. After giving an invitation to the king, Narada Muni left to return to Siddhaloka. Purport. Siddhaloka and Brahmaloka are both within the same planetary system. Brahmaloka is understood to be the highest planet within this universe. Siddhaloka is considered to be one of the satellites of Brahmaloka. The inhabitants of Siddhaloka have all the powers of yogic mysticism. From this verse it appears that the great sage Narada is an inhabitant of Siddhaloka, although he travels to all the planetary systems. All the residents of Siddhaloka are spacemen, and they can travel in space without mechanical help. The residents of Siddhaloka can go from one planet to another individually by virtue of their yogic perfection. After giving instructions to the great king Prachinibarhi, Narada Muni departed and also invited him to Siddhaloka. So I'll just read one more. Text 81. In the presence of his ministers, the saintly king Prachinibarhi left orders for his sons to protect the citizens. He then left home and went off to undergo austerities in a holy place known as Kapila Ashram. Purport. The word Praja Sarga is very important in this verse. When the saintly king Prachinibari was induced by the great sage Narada to leave home and take to the devotional service of the Lord, his sons had not yet returned from their austerities in the water. However, he did not wait for their return, but simply left messages to the effect that his sons were to protect the mass of citizens. According to Veera Raghava Acharya, such protection means organizing the citizens into the specific divisions of the 4 varnas and 4 ashrams. It was the responsibility of the royal order to see that the citizens were following the regulative principles of the 4 varnas, namely Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, in the ashrams, namely Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. It is very difficult to rule citizens in a kingdom without organizing this varnashram dharma. To rule the mass of citizens in a state and keep them in complete progressive order is not possible simply by passing laws every year in a legislative assembly. The varnashram dharma is essential in a good government. One class of men, the Brahmins, must be intelligent and Brahminically qualified. Another class must be trained in administrative work, Kshatriya. Another in mercantile business, Vaishya. And another simply in labor, Shudra. These 4 classes of men are already there according to nature, but it is the government's duty to see that all 4 of these classes follow the principles of their varnas, methodically. This is called abhirakshana, or protection. It is significant that when Maharaj Prachinibari was convinced of the goal of life through the instruction of Narada, he did not wait even a moment to see his sons return, but left immediately. There were many things to be done upon the return of his sons, but he simply left them a message. He knew what his prime duty was. He simply left instructions for his sons and went off for the purpose of spiritual advancement. This is the system of Vedic civilization. Sridhar Swami informs us that Kapila Ashram is located at the confluence of the Ganges and the Bay of Bengal, a place known now as Gangasagar. This place is still famous as a place of pilgrimage, and many millions of people gather there every year on the day of Makar Sankranti and take bath. It is called Kapila Ashram because of Lord Kapila's living there to perform his austerities and penances. Lord Kapila propounded the Sankhya system of philosophy. Om Jnanativedandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Kadidevachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Guruniritaninam Vancha Kapdrivishta Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So after much instruction from Srila Narada Muni, King Prachinibari got the message. He understood, and the sign of understanding is that he acted on that knowledge. He it's not that he just heard and just continued in his life like he was before, but he heard and then he changed. He had a transformation. And the transformation, and also Narada Muni, he was, I don't exactly know how long this whole conversation, how long it took to have this conversation. Prabhupada would say that the Bhagavad Gita was spoken 1 hour, about 1 hour. So now it's taken us quite some time to, make our way through it. But however long it was, he got the message. Prachinibari got the message. And after Narada Muni was done speaking with Prachinibari, he left. He immediately left. And sometimes it's said that a sannyasi or a traveling preacher is said to go to a place and just, in some cases it says just enough time to milk a cow. Just go there and speak and you leave. A day or two, a few days. Narada Muni left, and Prachinibari got the message, and what did he do? He left home. And what did he do when he left home? He left home to go perform austerities in a holy place known as Kapila Ashram. And he didn't wait for his sons to return. He just left them a message. Take care of the citizens and so on. He left immediately. So I believe there's a quote from Chanakya Pandit. Says that, in essence, that if one gets an opportunity to do an auspicious thing or a good thing, they should do it immediately. And why is that? Because the circumstances may change and you may lose the opportunity. And if one has an opportunity to do something inauspicious, bad, they should stall. They should wait. Why? Because the opportunity or the circumstances may change and they may not have to do it. Whereas the Christians have a saying, not today, Satan. Not today, Satan. Means, okay, Satan, you want me to be lusty or angry or greedy or blah, blah, blah. You want me to, right, sell my soul to you. Not today. And then the next day you say that also, oh, not today, I'm busy, Hare Krishna, Krishna, I'm busy engaged in God's service, devotional service, Christian service. Not today, not today, not today. Live like that. So, so King Prachanibarhi, he understood that this is auspicious, this is good, I should do this immediately. And he did it, he left. And Viraraghava Acharya, who's quoted throughout the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada quotes him from his commentaries, and also other commentaries, of course. But Prabhupada's quoting here says, according to Viraraghava Acharya, protection means organizes citizens into the specific divisions of 4 varnas and 4 ashrams. So varnas, the natural inclinations that a living entity has, right? Maybe Brahminical inclination, Prabhupada says, they must be intelligently, Brahminically qualified, kind of like priests, with the 26 call, right, of a devotee. But then there's the Kshatriyas, administrative class, the Shudras, the labor class, some people say mercantile or merchantile. What's mercantile? Yes, I thought mercantile. Those engaged in business, and Prabhupada also, and also in the Bhagavad Gita, is cow protection, right? So these are the natural inclinations. Chaturvarna mayashishtam guna karma vibhagasha. Krishna says that I've created these 4 divisions and they have these natural inclinations. And if we go to China, go to India, go to America, go any place in the world, we'll find people with these inclinations. And then, so to take care of the citizens means to engage them according to their nature, and also to make sure that they're following the particular duties of that varna. And then you have an ashram. You have the ashram, like brahmachari, student life, grihastha, household life, vanaprastha, right, retiring, and then sannyas, say complete renunciation. So these are important. To follow this system, and it is throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, throughout the Vedic literatures, that we should follow the duties of our particular station in life. And on the other hand, we also have you have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying that, okay, I'm not a brahmachari, I'm not a householder, I'm not a grihastha, I'm not a vanaprastha sannyasi, I'm not a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, I'm not any of these things. I'm an eternal servant of Krishna, right? Master of the gopis. So yeah, we may function, we should function within these orders, varnas and ashrams. But although we're functioning in a particular way, you could say in these varnas and ashrams, we should also always remember that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he said, that ultimately these are temporary designations and we are eternal servants of the servants of Krishna. And not to be like Prabhupada, when he would talk about bodily identification or the bodily concept of life, he would mention, American, Indian, etc. And we'd also mention sometimes these ashrams. Oh, I'm a brahmachari, or I'm a this or that, and so it could be a, or it is bodily identification. But nonetheless, it's there, and in Prachani Barhi, or specifically the sons who will be taking rule of the citizens, have to make sure that these people are engaged in a particular way. Because being engaged in the proper way, the society won't go to HELL. The society won't become degraded. People will be satisfied. People will be happy. They'll be, which is important for a citizen, for a ruler to consider. And sometimes within our own lives, we become confused. We think that, okay, well, sometimes young men or young women, they think, okay, I will get married and then I'll be happy. That's the purpose of me getting married. The purpose of me getting married is to become happy. Well, if you're thinking like that, or somebody's thinking like that, there's probably divorce around the corner, because devotees, everybody they should think that, okay, I'm getting married. A person should think, if they're going to do that, I'm getting married so I could be better situated to practice Krishna consciousness according to my conditioning or according to my nature. And then, by that practice of Krishna consciousness, I'll be happy. Not that, oh yeah, I'm going to get married and I'm going to be happy. That's a misconception. Or even taking sannyas. I'm going to take sannyas so I could be happy. Well, you take sannyas so you could be better situated to preach Krishna consciousness, to practice Krishna consciousness. And this way, you're just better situated. So much of our lives and so much of people's life is just doing things for the wrong reasons. In other words, not seeing the purpose behind things, behind our body, for example. I mean, people think the body is like a like a machine designed just to to gratify or something, and this way I'll be happy. But it's a mistake. The body is not designed for that. The human body is not designed for that. It's not, as devotees would bring up so many times, okay, you want to really gratify the senses, then better take another body. Better take a body of a rabbit, or better take a body of a pigeon, or better take a body of a monkey. For example, those who want to, really engage in sex, better take a different body. But the body is created for self-realization, for God realization. That's what it's created for. That's what it's designed for, in one sense. So we should know that what is the purpose of me being a brahmachari or a vanaprastha or grihastha or sannyasi, or what is the purpose of me engaging in varnashram? The purpose of that is specifically Daivi varnashram, or say divine. It means under the order of Krishna. Or as Prabhupada one time said, he was at a life member's house in India, and these life members served Prabhupada and the devotees dinner, and then Prabhupada was off to the side with his disciples, and then the guests, they were taking their dinner, the man and his wife and children, and then Prabhupada told the devotees to the side. He said, "You see that man there?" He said, "He could be performing the duties of a householder forever, and as long as he doesn't add Krishna consciousness and practice Krishna consciousness, all of this will just bring him to hell." This practice of his, being a pious, good householder. Why? Because the nature of piety is that everything is in flux in this world. It's hard to remain on a pious level. Just like King Prachanibarhi. In some ways he was pious, but he was performing these sacrifices, right, animal sacrifices and so on, and it is mixed with all types of sin, which he wasn't seeing. Narada Muni enlightened him. So within our lives, whatever station we're in, the main thing is to add Krishna consciousness. Like sometimes, if a man, or I'm sure Dravida Prabhu, Vijay, Bhajanarayan Swami, or devotees who have practiced brahmacharya for years. Young men will come, "Oh, how do you remain a brahmachari?" Right? All types of tips. You stand on your head, or you eat pumpkin seeds every morning, or whatever. They want all these types of tips. But ultimately, the main thing is to be Krishna conscious, to strive and to, as much as possible, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the devotees, to somehow or other experience some of the bliss of Krishna consciousness. That's how one's able to maintain. Even being a householder, how does one maintain actually being a householder? By the practices of Krishna consciousness. I don't know if householders get that very often. Oh, how do you? Well, I guess you do. How do you remain within your marriage for so many years? They probably get that too.
Oh, they get that.
Yeah, they get that. So, yeah, it's not easy also. So when it says here that the citizen, or that the prachetas, right? Those are the ones, the sons of Prachanibarhi, they're ruling. That they are supposed to make sure that these people are properly engaged. That means they're supposed to be giving them God consciousness as well, Krishna consciousness. Not that just they're, the guy likes to be a laborer, so we're just going to let him labor. But not only let him labor and engage him in that way, but also with the practices of Krishna consciousness, adding God consciousness to it. So another thing, getting to the last few points of the purport, the second purport. He understood his prime duty, King Prachanibarhi, and he was convinced. And he did not wait for a moment to see his sons return, but he left immediately. So nowadays, more and more and more, people are becoming disenchanted by, largely by the religious people of this age. And a lot of it is due to, you could say, fundamentalism, or you could say specifically not being able to answer certain questions that they have, logical, rational questions. And just kind of saying, hey, we'll just believe, right? And as Srila Prabhupada said, I think he said it specifically about his American and European disciples. He said, for every disciple I have to, in order to convince them, I have, 100 gallons of blood, something like that, just to convince one disciple. Because, anyways. So we, more and more and more, we will, it seems that that's the direction it's going in, is that people will be wanting to know answers, and we will have to convince them of the truth of Krishna consciousness. Like I met some guy, we were out in Harinam, and he's a nice guy, and his girlfriend got a book. She's really into it. She's like reading every morning, and really enthusiastic, and and anyway, so the guy, he's also nice, a little skeptical, to say the least. But he was asking me all these questions, and I won't get into all the questions he was asking me, but there was a tinge of challenge, there. And he was saying he rejected his, Christianity because they couldn't answer certain questions, and a lot of fundamentalism, at least the group he was in. So, but I spent an hour with him one time. I spent 2 hours with him another time, and they're really trying to explain things. And yeah, gradually he's coming around. So we have to be ready for that also, and for devotees who go on a book distribution, for example, at the book table, they have to be really ready to encounter those people, or in Harinam or whatever. They come here because if we're able to answer their questions satisfactorily, is it? Yeah. If we're able to answer the questions, oh yeah, wow, I'm impressed by these. Okay, I'll come back. But if we're kind of like, you're just another fanatic, you're just another sentimentalist. So it will be our great, it's our great responsibility actually to do that. And therefore we have Bhagavatam classes, Bhagavad Gita classes. Therefore we read, we hear. And this way we will be, we'll have the ammunition, right, when the time comes. So anyways, these are just some points on these two purports, verses. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, we have Bajranarayan Swami. Yeah, you could pass it to.
Hare Krishna.
Anyways, it will work even if it's. They'll hear it even if it's low volume.
Hare Krishna.
The people.
All right. So I have a question, but just the what is the secret? How do you stay married so long?
Yeah.
The answer is don't get divorced. And what that means, of course, you shouldn't stay in a abusive, severe. We're not talking about that. But in the Vedic tradition, every marriage will have some challenge. Not in the Vedic tradition. Any marriage, there's going to be challenges if you stay married long enough, So, but if you think, no, I'm going to work it out, or I'm going to tolerate. So, he eats cornflakes in bed, and they crunch all night, whatever it is. Okay, fine, I'm just going to live with it. He tolerates me, within reason. So that's one of the secrets. Is if you, because as soon as there's any disturbance, just get divorced. But that's not Vedic tradition, Okay, so there's that. And then the other thing is that I was thinking, and I do have a question, but your point is well taken, that we have to give the buckets of blood, and you have to be willing to, you have to take the ammunition and be ready to, spend the time and invest. But just on the other side of the coin, the devotees ask Prabhupada, if we're trying to convince someone and they don't take it, is it our fault or theirs? Now, out of humility, we should feel that, well, let me study more, let me think about that, how could I, So we should feel deficient. That's a humility side. But Prabhupada said, in the ultimate issue, it's their fault. Because if somebody's like not sincere, or half the way through your answer, they ask you another question. They're not really,
Yeah.
What can you do? I just want the devotees discouraged.
Yeah.
Okay, but you were just saying that. So my question?
Mm-hmm.
I had two questions, but I'll just ask one and somebody else have a shot at it. You started off by saying that, the proof that he got the message, the king, was that he left. He went to the forest.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of, we've got nice householders, and they're married. Well, hey,
They're packing up their bags right now at home.
they're leaving a note for the wife, you know, hey,
Yeah.
I don't have to say, I'm just leaving instructions, you know.
Yeah, that's how you take care of
Here's
the
the
household.
bank account, here's the keys to the house, bye. So that's obviously not what you meant, and you were making a good point, but just for the sake of churning the
Yeah.
conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
What's the householder
well,
proof that they just bail?
well, I mean, King Prachitabarhi, I mean, I don't know exactly his age here. I mean, I don't know if it really mentions that so much. But generally, the kings, I mean, yeah, within Vedic times, you know, at a time when their sons when their children were grown up and married and, you know, so on, they spent quite some years in household life, then they would feel, okay, now it's time to retire. And then they would go with their wife to holy places, and then in some cases, the wife and the husband would stay together as vanaprasthas, you know, throughout their life. And in some cases, the husband would take sannyas after that vanaprastha stage, leave altogether, the wife and the kids. So yeah, I mean, Prabhupada would sometimes he would break it into certain time periods, like, okay, age 5 to 25 brahmachari, age 25 to 50 householder, age 50 to 75 vanaprastha, age 75 to 100 sannyasi. Now, of course, a lot of times people aren't living 100 years these days, so there may be some, you know, adjustments. And also, a brahmachari can, you know, immediately go to sannyas. Also, that's there. But I mean, I'm thinking also now we have the sannyas ministry under Prahladananda Swami, and there's a whole I don't know, what do you call that? Forms to fill out, and like Kadamba Kanana Swami, for example, he was married before he took sannyas, and nowadays through the sannyas ministry, if somebody is married, they have to get permission, you know, from their wife to, you know, do that. So he got permission. He was, you know, working things out. So yeah, my statements or these statements here aren't to encourage, you know, irresponsibility, but if the time's there, if one's of the right age, then yeah, we can make such arrangements to do that. Like Prabhupada, I mean, Prabhupada was older in age, and you know, he tried many times to help, right, his wife and his sons and daughters, and I don't know if Prabhupada was 50 or something, but eventually Prabhupada just realized that better I leave. And then, you know, he left. He became a...
When she traded his
Yeah.
dog account.
Yeah. He came home one day, and his wife traded his Bhagavatam for a tea biscuits, you know, did the trade. And then there's something where Prabhupada said, oh, well, you have to pick tea or me, right? And then the wife said, oh, well, I picked tea. And Prabhupada said, okay. And he left. And he became a vanaprastha, and then he became a sannyasi, and then he helped us all. Even then, I mean, to note, Srila Prabhupada towards the end of his, you know, manifest pastimes here with us, he made a whole system of funds to go to his wife and his children, you know, so they're taken care of throughout their life. So that's there. He was responsible. I don't know if that... Okay. Oh yeah, another thing about the divorcing. It's you know, nowadays it's like so much of the world. It's modern culture. It's like a culture of there's quitting. You know, oh well, it's not really working out, so I'm just going to quit. You know, quit. Or in relationships, okay, well, I scratch your back, you could scratch my back, and when there's some problems, okay, let's give up the relationship. So much of Krishna consciousness is duty, and you know, sticking it out through thick and thin. It's very important. Not that we have to jump all over the universe, like brahmachari sometimes jumping all over the universe trying to find that perfect temple. Well, it doesn't exist. Got to just buckle down and try to do something. And on that note, there's a Juhu book. It came
It's here?
I don't have a copy on me now, but last Saturday, I believe, it arrived at the LA BBT warehouse after long delays with the COVID, whatever. It's there now. And I was told that next week, or this coming up week, it should be being sent out, the orders. But also Damodar Kumar Prabhu and some of the brahmacharis, they're going to order some BBT books. And they're going, they're going up there this Wednesday. So I asked if they could get some, books. And so, anyways, it's here. And that, in relation to sticking it out thick and thin, was good. So, yes. The shortest marriage was less than 24 hours, Vijay said.
What's that?
That's the board. Oh, you're talking about the...
Oh.
Yeah, that's the record. Shorter than 24 hours.
Yes.
Oh, I have another question. If no one else has. Let's see if someone else has a question.
Who was the shortest married?
I'll repeat it.
Okay, the question is, Krishna consciousness is Krishna consciousness, the absolute truth. Why do the world call it Hinduism?
If Christian consciousness is the absolute truth, why does the world call it Hinduism? Well, I mean, under Hinduism, there's so many groups. So, I mean, Prabhupada wouldn't refer to, this practice as Hindus. I mean, Prabhupada would also bring up in his talks, the word Hindu, it doesn't appear anywhere in the Vedic literature, which is true. There's this river, I forget what it's, Sindh or something, and Sindh, and the Muslims follows Islam, right? They're calling the people on the other side Hindus, right? So some of that caught on. It's interesting how words develop like that.
In the local language,
Yeah, in the local language, they couldn't pronounce it, right? They couldn't pronounce Sindh, Hindu. So under Hinduism, people, there's so many gods and so many practices, which is true. But as followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, followers of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, we don't subscribe to that. We don't say, we're Hindus, we're followers of Hinduism. There's technical terms, right? Gaudiya Vaishnavism, followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Vaishnavism, right? So Sanatan Dharma, Srila Prabhupada would say, also Sanatan, the eternal Dharma. Dharma is the Dharma of a chair is to hold you. As soon as it doesn't hold you, it breaks or something. It's not really a chair anymore. Or the Dharma, you see some powder and you taste it and it's salty. Salt, it's not sugar. So the Dharma, or the essence of the living entity, is that to serve, right? Or serve God. So what's the eternal nature? So sometimes we say, we're followers of Sanatan Dharma. So, but many people, they may call us so many things, but let me say, Hinduism or something, but it's not accurate. So, all right, thank you.
Anybody else got a question?
Yep.
I got mine.
You were saying that, there's different bodies.
Yeah.
And, if you really want to enjoy eating, then become a hog, or whatever it may be. You can take the,
Bear.
you want to sleep, you could become a, whatever it be, hibernate, no problem. So, but wait a minute. The bear is not, he's not refined in his consciousness. He's not, savoring French cuisine. He's just woofing whatever's in front of him. And, okay, the hog, I mean, okay, yes. But that's not the same as, wooing a woman and being a Don Quixote or whatever it is. So, human form, we know how to enjoy and savor and refined. And we're not just coarse animals. What are you talking about?
All right.
Did I tee it up for you, Bob?
Well, it's I mean, Prabhupada says, you're, the the dog's running on four wheels. I mean, excuse me, the dog's running on four legs. You know, people are running on four wheels. The cars, right? And okay, defending. Okay, we're dropping bombs, but other people got their claws and nails and or whatever it is. I mean, there was a really graphic painting, a BBT painting in that book. I think it was called, what's that book? A Second Chance, I think it was. It had Force of Material Enjoyment. Has, you know, family members with their fangs. Kind of. Anyways, if you know what I'm talking about, but the eating, the sleeping, the mating, the defending. Okay, someone may be doing it different ways or more polished, but that's what Prabhupada would say. He would say it was polished. You know, it's the urges are the same, it's just polished animalism. But what makes the difference of a human being is the ability to ask questions, to meditate, to read Bhagavad Gita, to become God conscious, to become Krishna conscious, and to experience that, you know, to experience Krishna consciousness. Of course, there's some animals like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going through Jayakanda, right, the elephants, and, you know, chanting and all that. And the reason why Prabhupada would equate it, practically speaking, polished animalism, just fulfilling the urges, is because he was saying that, this is okay, it's there, they're urges of the humans and the animals, but it's nothing special, just what's really special is that the happiness of Krishna consciousness, the bliss of Krishna consciousness, connecting with Krishna. And there, he was trying to encourage people like that. This is just insignificant. Don't waste your whole life just engaging in that. You know, do what humans are supposed to do, right? Read the Bhagavad Gita or practice Krishna consciousness. So that's why. Anyways, it's kind of a few thoughts.
Thank you, Paul. You saved me.
Okay.
It's just, if I can make a comment,
Yes.
and that is that it's interesting to note, because there's this whole pastime we just read, how King Prachanabhari was convinced of Narada Muni, and he wanted to leave, and he gave instructions to the son, that the sons would take over. But what actually happened? You read the next chapter. They were meditating for 10,000 years. When they got out of the water, and they saw Vishnu and everything, the whole earth was covered with trees. So the point is that, you know, King Prachanabhari did the best he could, but it didn't. There was a whole different thing that happened. Whatever happened to that kingdom, who knows? You know. And it's interesting because that often happens. I mean, you know, Srila Prabhupada's children were grown up and so forth. You know, but sometimes, you know, like Bharata Maharaj, he left when he was young.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And there, it's just the urgency of it. And Rupa
So
Sanatana-
Anga, also
Huh?
King Anga, he left.
And Anga, he left in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So the urgency of it, that it comes up again and again with the Goswamis, Rupa and Sanatana, they just left. You know, Turnam, say nothing. So that's an important, and Krishna's Kaviraj,
Yeah.
it's again and again, you know, when they get that order, they get that inspiration, don't waste any time. Just
Yeah.
you know, execute it.
Yeah, also with that Suresh and the dog, I told that some classes ago. You know, there's always something. So, I got to take care of, you know, this, got to take care of that. There's always a long list. That's the nature of this world, you know, it never really ends. So sometimes you just got to kind of wind it up. Okay, you know, I did the best I can, and, you know, leave it up to Krishna, and, yeah.
Very good.
Prabhupada tells about his godbrother Sridhar, Sridhar Maharaj, that the short version is he was going to join, and you know, his wife, everything was kind of taken care of, and he was, you know, he'd been thinking about it, and he was just about to leave, you know, and then she told him she's pregnant. And he thought, what will people think? I can't bail, and plus her, and what to do, you know? And so he was like almost out and got pulled back in, and he was thinking what to do. And just then he saw a little baby bird fall out of a nest. and what to do, how to take in what will that little baby bird do all on its own? And then somehow or other, there was a little baby lizard fell in front of the bird, and the bird ate it. Little baby bird ate it. So he thought, actually, Krishna's taking care of everyone. And that I'm the maintainer and I'm sustainer and everybody needs me. No, I need to get out when I can.
Yeah.
Like if the building's on fire and you run for the door, you don't stop in the kitchen for a sandwich,
Yeah.
So your answer was very good, and my question was like, and you said the thing, you have to be responsible and all that, but there, as you were saying and Dravida was saying, there is that urgency. That, wait a minute, I've got a little bit of clarity now, I can get out of this thing, and one should take advantage of that, an auspicious thing, do it immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at this picture of Sridhar Swami Prabhupada's godbrother, he actually took sannyas quite young, but... Oh, the commentary on the Bhagavatam, okay. Okay, anyways.
No, I was talking about Prabhupada's godbrother. Prabhupada is Srinath's godbrother.
Yeah. Anyways, this picture, this...
Not the original Sridhar.
If you see this picture of Sridhar Swami Prabhupada's godbrother, he took sannyas when he was quite young, really, face is very, kind of looks like a young, I want to say Vivekananda or something, but, he looks young, handsome, young, but anyways, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. Okay, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.